Boom. Welcome everyone to our webinar series. Has been such a great time. We've been doing these since March of 2020, and just tons of good information that we've been working with and taking care of and working with folks. This is our 18th of our third season, and we're in the middle of doing some specific RayStudio 3 analysis topics, and those topics have been very function focused. And on this one, I want to do a more of an analysis process, or becoming a way of getting data in that is maybe not quite the norm, but I think it's going to be kind of cool, where you get to see some different things. Even if you don't use this exact process, it'll we got some tips and tricks here of some different things that might work for you. As usual, the data and the video that I will be using today is linked into the chat box for those of you that are here live. It's a large file. It's 3 video files and 2 data files. So I think it's 4.6 gigabytes or something like that. So if you're going to click on that, it's zipped up. But if you're going to click on that, it'll take a little bit to download it. But things are pretty quick nowadays on almost everybody's computer. So that data is available. We also have the user profiles if you want to set up your computer to look like my RayStudio 3 when we go to live data. If you want it to look like what that looks like, those user profiles are available. And since we're working with Watkins-Glen data, if you wanted to use a map that I show and use in this presentation, you can download that map file and bring it onto your computer and have the segments that I use here, but not needed. So for those of you that are watching later on YouTube, all of the links that I may mention or just did mention will be available to you when we get this video up on YouTube. Down in the description box below, just click on the show more button and you'll have a full list with all of the links there. So perfect. The a little bit of background on this. We in these webinars, we talk a lot about data, and we talk a lot about diving in deep and cool ways of looking at the data in different ways. Maybe some of them a little bit advanced, some of them are kind of average in the way that we do it. But I have a constant stream of users that are trying to learn. Some of you are here on this webinar right now. You're learning about how to use data, but when you get to the racetrack, you're either a one-man show or you don't have time. There's reasons behind this, but maybe you've got your SmartyCam video and you don't have time to download the data every time, and sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And what you're really and you want this interim process of getting some value out of your data and video as the day goes on before you have a chance to download the full amount of data out of the car or the cart or the boat or the motorcycle. And and this process has been discussed, and where the SmartyCam video has the data built into it, has a form of the data built into it. So if you have created a SmartyCam configuration where you've used RPM and throttle pressure, throttle position and brake pressure and steering, and of course all the GPS channels and locations and all that, when you you come off the track and you pull the card out, the SD card that holds the video, I'm going to walk through a process of a couple of days of a mock weekend at the track, where this driver doesn't have enough time to do the full data download and just really wants to review a video, and then give you a process of where you can review the video and look at some basic data with video. And then, of course, at the end of the day or the end of the weekend, maybe you do finally have a chance to download your data. And I want to show how RayStudio 3 is tying all this together and adding just a ton of value for somebody that maybe either only has a SmartyCam or only has the time to download and grab the video file real quickly. So that's what we're going to do today, and I think it's very valuable. I've shared this with probably 3 or 4 people that are using this exact same process, and they are very, very happy with it as they're learning more about data and getting deeper into the analysis side. Just a little bit about me as we get going. I'm an old off-road racer, and been around motorsports most of my life, and then as a driver, and then a car owner, and then got into the training and the support side here with AiM, and been here a little over coming up on 11 years now, and just enjoying the heck out of this and doing these webinars and on-site training before the last couple of years has happened. But really enjoy this part of it, and glad to work with everybody and show different things. We are going to jump right in. The one of the interesting things that with Race Studio 3 is the ease of bringing some different things in and different methods. AiM has always done things where, yeah, you can import a data file, but there might be three different ways to do the same thing. I'm going to show a couple of different ways today that have proven to be easier for other folks. So if this is a level of data analysis that you don't normally do, stick around, because I think we're going to show you some things that maybe even if you're downloading your data every single time, there may be some things that might be good for you. So let's see if I can bring up Race Studio 3. Here's Race Studio 3, and by the way, just for those of you that are watching here, a brand new version was just released today, and this is that version. So I'm not 100% sure what's changed in it, but it's will give you an idea. So the thing that I want to talk about here is set up the scenario. We've got a team, one racer there with their car. It's just them. They have no help. They've got to do all of their preparation. We're just kind of setting up the scenario. And things are happening quick on their race day. And so they're test day and then race day. And they don't have time. They're doing their tire pressures and need to change a transmission in between, or whatever happens to be. But they want to review that data, and they've got a SmartyCam and a data logger. So the question here is, or the comment is, okay, well, we've got this data, and I've got this SmartyCam. Really easy to grab that SmartyCam SD card, and let me bring this over. Let me show you what we've got, so everybody knows what I'm doing over here on the other screen. Let me see if I can see this. Shoot. It's kind of fighting me a little bit here. Do this. I'm going to show you what the actual files I have and what we're looking at, and then we will walk you through what we're going to do and what we're going to how we're going to do it. Well, here we go. Here is the data files that I have. I have a three video files. I've got let's sort them. So I've got 12, which is just as we're going through, you're gonna see it. 12 is these are some data files. They happen to be Matt Romanowski files from Watkins Glen, but and these are the ones that are available for you with your download. And so I've got 2 different days of data and video. I've got June 12th. And then I've got June 13th. On the 12th, I've just got a video file and a data file, and we're going to bring those in separately. And then I've got the next day, I've got 2 more video files and a data file. So there's your 3 video files I'm going to work with, and here's the 2 data files that we're going to be working with. And these data files again are available for you in that zipped file. So the process that I want to go through is the drivers just came in. Video 12 is the same as the 205 data file. It was the same session. So that session right there and that video file were actually from the same time. The 205 is going to be downloaded later, so we're not going to actually look at that yet. But we're going to bring the version number 12 in. I'm going to have to pull this off my screen, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to drag this across and drop it up here, and we're going to import the data file. A little bit different than what you may have worked with in the past is by some of you may be coming in and doing a data import process. But one of the kind of the cool things for the video files, especially since they're on a card and you've copied them over, if it's on a different computer, you can do this drag and drop of the data files as well. Of course, when you are doing the import process, it's bringing them in automatically. So I'm going to bring this video file in, and I'm just going to import that into Ray Studio 3, just like the user would. And here comes 12. I'm dragging it over. It has to be in this upper little window, so I'm just going to drag it over here and drop it. The same box that you've normally been used to seeing will pop up, and it's going to talk about that it's how many did it skip? 0. How many did it have errors with? 0. Correctly imported 1. And it talks about where that file came from. The okay, and close it. That file now is in here. It happens to be a back a ways. If you are a racer that is at the track doing this on the day of it, this whole column over here typically sorts is by default sorts by the date, so your latest one will be at the top. For this one, it's data from back in June of 2021, so it's down here. So I've clicked on that, so there's that file, and we've talked a little bit about it in the past, the different icons that show up, and this is video only. It's got the little blue clacker video filmmaker icon. So there's a video only. It's 10 laps. There's the best time. There's where the track it was at and all the information. And of course, here's all the laps that it did, and all the preview information. Again, it's just like you've came in, you've grabbed that SD card, and we haven't taken the time to hook up and connect with Wi-Fi, do all the download steps, which doesn't take very long either. But for some people, that's an intimidating step to get into that process. But so you've got your video card, you're going to bring it onto your computer anyway, and you're going to try to watch it on VLC player or whatever Windows Media Player, whatever is your favorite video player. This concept is bring it in and let Ray Studio 3 be your player for you, and then we'll give you some added value on top of that. So we've just dropped it in there, and then I'm just going to open it up and double click on it, open up this file, and I've got a profile saved just so it's something you may want to set up yourself as well. I've got data movies. I've got a rapid SmartyCam HD data analysis is what a topic of our webinar today. So I've got one that's movie only, and that's this one. And I've got data movies is the main tab. There's the video. So some people, their process is they come in and they want to watch their video, so they bring it over, open it up in VLC player or Pot player or Windows Media Player, whatever it happens to be. When they do that, it works great. It's full screen. Everything is good. The only downside of that is it doesn't have any intelligence to it at all. What's good about this is you've got a player here, and I could shrink down some of this, make this more larger on my screen. But what's cool about it is it's lap based. So if you want to go and look at a certain lap, we are now going to watch this lap. It's wherever the cursor's at in this line. So we went right to the best lap, because that's the way the AiM software works. It gives us the opportunity to scrub through that particular lap much easier. We can also use the the scrub bar up here, or the play button to play the video. But you're given a little bit of extra. If I wanted to change and grab a different lap, I can very easily change and jump into that lap. The power of this from a person that wants to watch video only is valuable. Even if they don't want to do any data work, using Ray Studio 3 as your player for your videos adds the ability to see just a little bit of data, see mainly the video, pick your best lap real quickly. Pick your best 3 laps and have them stacked all up together. I've got it set up to only show 2, but so now you could watch your 2 best laps sync together. In a normal video player, this is virtually impossible. So you would scroll up and go watch one video after the other, one lap after the other, right? In this case, you have the ability to view multiple laps and take a look at those. What's the downside? There are a couple of small downsides that you just need to know about. It's not terrible, but the data that comes across this little speed trace that we're seeing here, there's an RPM data trace. Everything that's been placed onto this onto the video overlay is being brought across as a channel, but the only downside is the if we come up here and we click on the symbol for GPS speed and bring up the channel settings, the frequency of that data is at a slightly lower rate than what is in the data file that is being downloaded as a data file. So for most data analysis reasons, certainly from watching on a video and having a quick speed trace or a lateral G or an RPM value, this degraded amount of frequency is not that big of a deal. You can still see, look at the speed trace, it still looks like it's certainly usable at this point still, right? But it just wanted everybody to know what they're looking at. So I'm going to exit out of that. And the video is, of course, is still at the same high quality. So the driver comes in, takes a look at this, and is able to go through their entire lap, multiple laps, do whatever they wish. A couple of cool little tricks that we have talked about in the past is let's say that you wanted to, we're talking Watkins Glen, so here's the video of the bus stop, driving through the bus stop, and let's say we want to snip out a piece. A cool tool that we have talked about here before, but is available just from coming off that SD card like we are, is double click on the bus stop. You're zoomed into just this piece of video and data. You can see down here in the map in the lower corner exactly where we're at. You have this tool that looks like a pair of scissors, and it's cut and export that shown video chunk. So you can come in here and come and tell it, hey, I want to do that, and it's it's the short, call it what you wish, but and send that out. We've just created a video of whatever we've been zoomed in on with the normal Ray Studio 3 tools. And again, we've just brought in an SD card. We're working away, doing all this data work, comparing some information, and of course, viewing the video. That's what the person really wanted to do. Okay, now let's say it's a little later in the day. I haven't had a chance to check on questions. We will take questions certainly later as well. So keep that in mind. Now we're looking at. It's a little bit later in the day. Let's go ahead and we've reviewed this video. We've watched multiple laps. We've zoomed in. We've compared the two laps of the same data, and we get the basic data and the time compare bar, and the videos are synced, so we can check out two different laps, the way you've attacked a certain corner in different ways. Everything's syncing up the way with the tools of Ray Studio 3. So let's go ahead and let's close this. Let's go ahead and close this now. And now it's the end of the day, and the driver comes back and now finally has a little bit of time to view the data. And so I'm going to bring this over so you can see it. Now they're going to come into their data, and it was 205 is the data file that they're going to now download. In our scenario, they're going to connect to the car, and they're going to download that data. I'm going to drag and drop this over here. It would also happen if you, of course, hooked up to Wi-Fi and downloaded the data. So I'm going to bring this one in. Just drop that on that upper corner. And here comes that data file. It's being brought in. It's being imported. It's been imported correctly. I'm going to click on exit there. And now, if we come into this same weekend, if I hover over that, you now see the automatic process has happened. Even though it's multiple hours apart, you've done data analysis, you've maybe even went out and ran the car a couple more times. At the end of the day, you go ahead and you download your XRK files, your data files off of the car. As soon as it brought in, it took that video file and it merged it together with the data and movie files were automatically connected because of the connection stuff that is done inside of the movie file and the AiM data file. So I'm going to open that up now, and it's the exact same information. It's going to look exactly the same as what we were just looking at a moment ago. I've still got my movie only user profile set up. We'll change that here in just a quick second, but I just want to show you it looks exactly the same as it did. But if we come into your GPS speed now, and we take a look at the channel properties, all that has happened is the movie now is backed up by the more robust and full data set that has come off the car. So now that frequency is 25 instead of the 6 hertz that is what has been brought in the video file. It's been replaced by the full-on data. This happens to be a GPS 09 sensor, so it's 25 samples per second. I'm going to exit out of that. If you look over here now, there is some of you have used some of Matt's data in the past. Now he has all of the data that is part of his data logger system, the MXP that's in the car. And so all of the data is in there instead of that subset. I didn't show that subset a minute ago, but it was everything you could see. Basically the GPS channels and data from any of the graphical elements that he had added to the display. So so here is all the everything. So now early on, right at first, when you didn't have a ton of time, maybe you're not really good with the analysis yet, still a little intimidated by that or whatever, bring the video file, do some quick work like we just talked about, and then later on, when you do finally have a chance to download the data, it's going to seamlessly bring it all together and tie it up. Okay, so it's a win-win for those that are one-man band kind of a thing at the track, and you just don't have time to do something. In the karting world, we have that a lot, where there's just so much to do for a young family or a single person driving a kart, where they're on the track every 30 or 45 minutes, and sometimes they have time to review their video, but they do not have time to look at their data, download and look at their data. This is just such a great tool for that. Okay, so then let's continue walking our process down. And by the way, I'll show it on the next one. So let's continue our little process. We have brought in 12, and now we're going to go to the next day. And I just want to show this power a little bit. There is only one more data file, which is 210, but there are 2 video files. And what happened here is in this data sample, Matt went out and did a long run, but he came into the pits, and I think he had his SmartyCam is set up to start and stop recording on speed. So as he came in, the car continued to run. They did a tire pressure change or something, and so we ended up with 2 videos, 19 and 20, and only one data file. Oops, come on. There we go. And only one data file. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to play as you would be at the track. I'm going to go ahead and bring in 19 first, and then 20, and we're going to review them real quickly. And then we're going to bring in that single data file. That's what we're going to, when I take this off screen, that's what I'm going to be doing. So let's bring that over here. Let's close this particular test just to show how it would be working. So here is the first half of the session, video only. It is the 19 movie file. It has brought it in, and let's exit out. And if we go down to the Watkins Glen, let me drop in another one. I don't see where that showed up there. Let me bring that in, exit. Ooh. It's not doing what I thought it was going to do. Maybe I should have tested this a little bit more. Maybe. Oh, there now. I had to have it refresh. There is the 2 files. There's the first one that we've already downloaded and looked at. Now I've got 2 of the blue video only files that are in here. One was started at 11:09, the other one started at 11:35, partway through the same session. Let's open up one of them just to show what it looks like. And I wanted to show a couple of things that I may have missed earlier. Let's look at the channels that are available to us over here on the left, because again, it's video only, coming off the SmartyCam. That's the number of channels. It's a decent number of channels, right? But limited compared to what Matt has on his MXP that he's got in the car. So speed, RPM, throttle position, brake, steering, gear position, and then all the GPS-based channels. And so a small subset, but perfect for just bringing it in. I just want to check out where I was versus there, how they sync up, and watch the video, maybe use a little bit of this. And let's say that that you're a user that you've got a couple other things you'd really like to check, and you've only got this video file. Well, I've set up a couple of other options over here. I've got a split times report. This is available to you off of the data that comes in from the SmartyCam, just the MOV file. We've created a split report based on the splits of the map that I've built here. We get all that good basic lap timing information broken up by the segments. I've built this specialized map down here with some people that run Watkins Glen. It's kind of what the people would call the corners, the bus stop, and the laces, and the toe, and the boot, and the heel, and all the corner names that are in there. So we've got the time up through the S's, all just from the MOV file. So the fairly powerful, right? I also built a channel report just to show some extra power. Of course, it doesn't have, all of the data that Matt has, tire pressures and shock sensors and all that stuff, but it gives you a pretty basic chunks of data. You could do a quick channel report. Min and max speeds, RPM is in there, so we could do a max RPM and do a quick health check of that. Lateral G lefts and rights, see how consistent the driver is being and getting to the maximums. All of those things are embedded in here. So quite a bit of information just from dragging the MOV file over. So pretty good. So now I brought in both of those. I'm going to go ahead and close this one just to show it. But so I've brought in those two video files, and now at the end of the day, Matt is able to come in and grab his data. So I'm going to drag this over just so you can see it. The 210 was the file, the single data file that actually was created while these two video files were built. So I'm going to drag this box back over, drag 210, and do the import process into Race Studio, just like he would have done. Here it comes, and boom, it's importing that data file now. And what it does is it brings it in. Of course, it looks at all the internals, figures out that there was a run there that that happened. That's weird that it does that. Yeah, it doesn't show up at first, and then all of a sudden, last time it did show up afterwards. We only and I don't know. Maybe you see if I'm doing something wrong. The should be right in there. That should be a 1 and a 2 and a 3 is what should be down there. It should show that data all showing up. The one it does show is here. What's interesting about it, and it'll be all back in there in just a second, I'm sure. The what we can do now is have another profile that we've saved that not only is kind of minimalistic for just bringing in the MOV files, but also I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to load a profile, one I've called Rapid All Webinar. That may well be true. I see a couple people. A Rapid All Webinar profile that is maybe a little bit more complex, because now I've got the data files and maybe I want to show a few more things, right? So I can still have that basic video view, but I can also then have maybe even a more complex report here, or a time distance plot with brake pressures and throttle and shock positions or whatever, because I've got the additional information that is in there. I want to show you one other trick if we were in here, that for those that are just bringing in the MOV files, that I find is just the biggest reason for users to use Race Studio 3 as their video viewing platform, whether or not they really even want to do any data work, is that when you come in there, June. Yep, you're right. I thought about getting rid of that one, so I didn't do that. Didn't confuse myself of that Watkins Glen being the one I was picking. I think the entire time it was user error, as probably usual, right? So here is the one I've been bringing in. So I want to close that Watkins Glen that I had open. I'm going to go down to the June Watkins Glen, and now I've got the combined data and video of the two sessions, even though I brought them in as video and then data later. And I want to open up both of these and show that video process. So I just open the top one. Let's open the bottom one. We now have the two different tests open, and I want to take a look at video. And what has happened here is I've got the two different video files from the two different MOVs that I've brought in, and the best laps from both immediately get brought up and put in my screen. So let's say back to us talking about how this person is actually running through the weekend. They've brought in their MOV file from the first day, their first practice session. They didn't get to go out again for whatever reason. The next day they have another session. And what they really want to do, people really want to do with their video is not just review that session, but probably look at the best laps from both of them. And if you do that, you have to bring up two instances on a regular video player. You have to try to find where they're semi-synced up, and you can scroll through them and get an idea. If you're using RayStudio 3 as your default video player, you bring them up. As soon as you open them, it is the best lap of the two sessions, and wherever you put the cursor, the videos are synced. And it's just such a powerful tool for video review. I just love to have just the speed trace down below, like I've created this one here. But you could also be grabbing just this, even if this wasn't here. You could grab this, and as you move this, the second one moves right along with you, and the video is synced. And such a powerful tool for video review. So wanted to kind of go over that a little bit. I think I've covered most of that, even with my my user errors there. The let me double check a couple things here. I want to talk about just some logistics of this. A lot of computers out there, myself included, my laptop. I've always tried to purchase laptops in the world of RayStudio 2 and SmartyCam video. What I always did was buy the best laptop I could buy horsepower wise, but I always bought it with a smaller hard drive, but yet get the best hard drive I could get, but a little bit smaller because the data files themselves are not huge. And now we've integrated video that needs to be available all the time. And small hard drives is probably not an option anymore if you're going to use RayStudio 3 and the video the way that it's meant to be used. I used to go an entire weekend, and I'd do all my SmartyCams would be stored locally on the hard drive, and then at the end of the weekend I would come off and I would weed off most of the stuff I may not want for a while. I'd keep it on a hard drive separately, but I would get it off the main computer. Now you're going to go back to Watkins Glen a month or two later, and you want your data and video to be available, right? So here's an idea that I've kind of pursued a little bit, and I've shared with some folks, and it seems to work fairly well. There are external SSD hard drives that are available. This is one that I use. It's small, right? Fairly small, and they've got them now that are anywhere between 500 gigabytes and 4 terabytes that are in reason. I'm sure they're bigger and smaller, but those are the ones that I checked. And and I just did the math real quickly, and I'll read it off here briefly. But let's say you're going to average. You're going to go to an event, and you're going to average maybe 15 videos at that event. A 2 or a 3 day track session weekend. You're going to go on the track 4 or 5 times a day. You're going to get all these videos. You're going to do maybe 15 events in a year, let's say. I'm trying to come up with some sort of an average, and so you're creating all these videos, and slide this over where I can see the other part. And so what if you do that, you're going to have about 225 videos in a year. Just trying to come up with some averages. But your use may vary, obviously, and that is about 450 gigabytes, assuming about 2 gigabytes per video file, and they're typically 1.5 to 1.8 for a session, depending on the length of the session and several other things, obviously. So if you if you're running along 450 gigabytes in a year, my laptop, I know this 4 or 5 year old Dell that I have over here, it was I think it's only a 500 gigabyte hard drive because I bought a lot of horsepower, but I kept the memory size down. And so what some people are doing is they're taking these small little um, SSD hard drives, and they come with a cable, obviously. And what they're doing is they're velcroing this onto the lid of their laptop, and then run that cable in when they fire up Ray Studio 3. Take the cable out. Obviously, you don't want to break off the cable when you're throwing it in and out of your case. But and storing all your videos on your on this removable hard drive. And then when Ray Studio 3, because you take them off your SD card, you copy them onto your micro SD, your SSD hard drive, and then if with common and current technology, they read write very quickly, even through the cable, through the USB or the different styles of communication nowadays. And you end up just put all your SmartyCams right onto here, SmartyCam videos, MOVs, and then when you import it from here in to Ray Studio 3. Then whenever Ray Studio 3 is looking, it's looking for this. If it's not there, let's say you forgot to plug it in and you brought up that run, the only thing that'll happen is the data will open because you've imported the data onto your standard hard drive. The video file box will just say the video file is missing from this location. That should be enough for you to remember just to plug in your cable, right? Plug this into your USB. And of your laptop, have the window open, and you are and then it'll recognize the video and you will be off and running. Just an option for those of you that have laptops that maybe don't have that much space. These SSD these SSD portable hard drives, I just went out on Amazon the other day, and I looked around for some, and a 4 gigabyte external SSD was $455. That, from my math and just running the basic math with the example I gave you, that will give you a 4 terabytes will be about a little over 8 years worth of video if you continually did the 15 events a year, 15 videos per event. In other words, a pretty heavy load, right? That 4 terabyte will give you 8.8. 2 terabytes, a little over 4 years worth of video storage. 1 terabyte, about 2.2 years. And the 1 terabyte drives now on Amazon for a SanDisk, a fairly high quality one, is 1 terabyte was about $134. So that's just an option for you. I think that's how I would do it. I would have one of these plugged in. I would come to my SD card, throw that into my computer, drag and drop it onto the external, and then plug this in as I needed it to make that work for me. Then you can always take this off, take it to a large computer in the trailer, or once you're back at home and watch the video if you want there, so as well. So pretty good process. So they're again, tiny little SSDs, Velcro them to the top. I think Emiliano actually has his done that way, that he goes to the tracks with as well. So the let's see. Let me take a look up and take a look at any questions. I've got a couple last little things I want to do as we kind of close this up. But let's jump into some questions and take a look at what they say. Matt says, I was having a problem moving shaping windows at the track last week, and can you show how to pull up 2 videos side by side again? I had 2 kids trying to compare lines through a corner. In fact, I'm there right now, but let's bail out and how to bring the 2 videos up side by side. The bigger, let's take one step back from the question first, is the profile that you need to have set up needs to have that added, right? So if you do not have video as part of your standard view, of course video won't show up. Click on the data movie layout, it will automatically be there. That would be maybe the first place you would go. And if I go in here and let's close these tests down real quickly. back here to the correct one down here in June. The let's say you have the two drivers. If I just open one of the tests, of course there's going to be, and I go to the turn on the data tab. There, oops, I'm sorry, the not the track, the video data. There's going to be by default a video window there. Okay, there's one. So by going to the video, show data movies layout tab, you're going to have your video, and to show the second one, it's as easy as literally going in and reopening the test that has the MOV file attached to it, and it automatically will show it to you. So I jump in here, I go back, I'm already highlighted on it, but then I want to grab the second one that I want to show. As soon as I open that up, these, while it looks like the same because it's from the same layout, if you had two different cars, you had your buddy's data and one kid in your question, two different kids on carts, I suppose, I don't know, but it will look different. Matt, we're both looking from the inside of Matt's car, so it looks like from the same session. But if you look up here at the top, this one was gathered on June 12th of 2021, 9:15 in the morning. This one was gathered on June 13th, the next day, at 11:19, a couple hours later in the day. So these are actually two different sessions, two different runs, and you are reviewing data side by side with a basic file of speed. So pretty good, I think. This has been extremely helpful for some folks. I'll read that question in just a second. I do have a list over here of keys to success of if you're going to use this process. There's a couple of things that I find that is keys to success, not only maybe in this process, but data analysis overall using Array Studio 3. But use a consistent and constant data video storage process. You're downloading your data. You should be, we have other videos and we're going to do another one here in the next month or so. You should be in here under the data download process that you'll see these boxes when you go to download as well. But you can come up to the little wrench and screwdriver up here, hit the data download. You should have a process set up where you know where your data and videos are going, depending on how you're doing it. But data download, I have a process where I have told it the root folder is under AiM Sport directory and then a data folder. And then from there, every data file that I bring in, and this works for me, it may you do what works for you, but I just create another folder every time with the date. Underneath AiM Sport data, when I connect a logger to this and I push the button and say download this data, it automatically creates another folder over here with today's date. Okay, and then it also then creates a file name that is built any way that I want to. What works for me typically, I just like to have the date and the time.xrk, right? Because when I'm the way that I'm looking at this is I'm a single person out here running my own one car team. What I really I don't need multiple vehicles to put into the file name or into the folder structure. If you have a team and you have 3 cars or something, then you probably do want either the racer's name to be built into that automatic filing or into the folder structure. If you're just a one-man band like I would be, I just want to create a folder for the date and and the date and time as part of the name. I certainly could be convinced fairly easily that not only the date, maybe it's the track. So when I look at my data, AiM Sports data, Watkins Glen, Road Atlanta, Coda, they're broken into folders. I could be convinced of that, but date works for me. So, but you have all those options to do that. So it's all good. Okay. So important that you use a consistent and constant way of gathering your data. It's going to make it easier for you to find this data and work with it. Same thing on the movie file side. You're bringing in that video off of an SD card. Where are you putting it? It just becomes a good idea to come up with a structure and put it all in the same place. Either if it's on your hard drive, you've got a very large hard drive on your laptop. Perfect. You could also, in my case, I put it onto a remote. follow that process. And then I tend to put those, I don't just drop them all on there. Could though, but I also then like to do a year and then the event structure under that, so I can find the videos for that event a little bit easier. So do that. Set up that automatically data download for naming and locations. I think that's important. The video possibly in a different location. We've talked about that. We need to be able to have these videos being attached to this data. Just the way we're doing data analysis these days, video has become a very, very important part of this. We can bring up the data, but we really want to have the video with it all the time. So we need to have that storage available. I think that external SSDs are really probably the best way to do that. And then you retain all your videos, right? And don't have to get rid of those. So pretty handy that way. Okay, let's check out this this question here. It looks like one that I may or may not be able to handle right here, but I'm getting an error in Ray Studio 3 with one customer car that says no video at this cursor location in the video pane within Ray Studio 3 on some laps, sometimes the whole file. Thoughts? I may actually want one-on-one help. That is, I think that one is deep enough that we probably ought to have more information, have the data in the video files, and have us recreate it and figure out how to make it work. So perfect. If there's anything, any other questions, make sure you throw those in there. Again, I'll back up and I will say that this is a process that is maybe designed for somebody that is just getting into data, but and really just wants to do a video review, but they're trying to learn data. But I'm telling you, the same process may work for a very experienced data person that is just swamped at that moment, but really needs to do a quick side-by-side video analysis with a speed trace and bring just the MOV files in and get the information you need to make that one quick change, or that the driver you're coaching or whatever it happens to be. Maybe you only have a Smarty Cam that you travel around with and are sticking in cars. This ends up being a very, very good tool to review your data, your video, and then, oh yeah, I have some data with it. So I think it's super strong. So perfect. If we don't have any other questions, I'm going to start to jump out of here. There is one other thing I wanted to talk about. Let me close those tests. There is a process where, if it doesn't happen very often, but I do get the question occasionally, so I wanted to talk about it. There might be a time when the data doesn't sync automatically. And Emiliano asked me a couple days ago when I was going to talk about this if I ever did to mention this. Here we've got the data and video was automatically linked because the video was in the same car. All the metadata that is stored and everything makes this automatic link. But every once in a while that doesn't happen. If that doesn't happen for you, I'm going to unlink these two items just real quickly, just to show, to break it, right? And are you sure you want to clear any data video association? Yes, I do. And then what we're going to see, and that jumped off of that, which would have confused me a minute ago. We've brought this in, and it's not linking these two together. Let's say that's your problem. What we've got the ability to do is we've got the ability to link these two together. So I think if we come in and we highlight both, if I remember right, and then we can link those items. And what I did to get to this screen is I highlighted both of those, and then I right-clicked. And I want to link these two items together. I want to manually connect this data with this video file. And are you sure you want to do that? Yes, I am. And then you're going to see, it jumped off it. That's interesting. Now that video file and that data file are linked. So it should do it automatically. And what I am seeing is it's 99% of the time, 98% of the time. I mean, I have had a couple of files that didn't link, but that is very rare nowadays. The software folks have been doing a pretty good job of linking it automatically. If your video files are not linking with your data files, that is your your 5-second process to link them together, so then everything works from there on. But it should be working for most cases. So that I wanted to make sure we chatted about that. Can I assume, Tim asks, can I assume the Ray Studio 3 only cares about a data or video file's metadata, and that I can change folder names and file names as long as I leave the file extension alone? There are a couple things about that would make me nervous, Tim. If you change all of those things before you do the import process, not a problem. You're correct. The metadata is inside information that's doing all that. It's not based on a naming structure. But once you've done it and once you've imported it, if you start to change things then or move the location, Ray Studio 3 is built, it's a database, and it's just pointing out to where you've stored it and what it's named. So if you're going to change any naming or anything like that, do it ahead of time, then import it, then you're okay. If you try to move it or change it afterwards, I think you're going to run into problems. So don't do that. Jeff talks about a problem he's had, I know, and they're working on it. I see Emiliano's typing an answer. There is a case where if you're using a memory module and you're storing your data on a memory module, a very cool tool, especially for the endurance racers out there. We're behind on the firmware updates. When you bring your data off your memory module and your video off of your SD card, they're not automatically merging. We should be fixing that soon. Hopefully they'll get that taken care of with a firmware update. If it does not work, like what we just did, you can just come in and highlight the two and link them together. That was the workaround that was built for those folks that are using memory modules. So that's why I wanted to make sure I did show that connection. Okay, looks like we covered all the questions there. Again, this is such a cool process that I've shared with 4 or 5 users that has been well received. Folks that are just getting into this, and they're overwhelmed by the bigger picture of all the data and video and everything that's going on. We can walk people up with a little bit of a step-by-step process of getting into their data by doing this SmartyCam import. Have them just review that data and then bring the data in behind it at the end of the day or whatever, and get very, very good results. So keep that in mind and share that with us. Those of you that are chatting with folks, share that this is a process that can be done, and it's not just an easy way of getting into Ray Studio 3. I truly think that it is a wonderful way of actually using the tool, the Ray Studio 3, as your default video player, because of the added value of being able to jump right to your best lap, being able to compare multiple laps together, and having it all sync together where your VLC or your Windows Media Player is not allowing that kind of added value. So very, very cool, very very powerful, and then of course the ability to snip out and grab some of those things is fantastic. With one last button that's right here that we did add because of user input is, let's say that you get in here and maybe you wanted this thing to be full screen or higher definition, or and you wanted to use your default player after looking at it. In here, you really want to see something. Maybe this isn't big enough. Whatever your reason is, you can click on this icon right here, and it will automatically take the video file that you're looking at and open it in your system's default player. So most of us have clicked on and said we want VLC to be open our videos whenever we have any type of a video file. If we just double click on it, it typically is going to open up on the program that you like, be it Windows Media Player or VLC or Pot Player. And what this does is it looks at the Windows settings. It says, what have you set in your Windows settings to open your videos in? We're going to open this video in this player. I'm just going to go ahead and click on it. I don't know what is going to happen. In my case, and it's noisy on my end, you guys, so of course, haven't updated in a while, but it just took that video file. My default video player is Pot Player, and so it opened that video file up right at the beginning of it, and now I could scroll through this and watch this in my default player by clicking on that icon that is in a couple different spots, but right here in this particular area. So very, 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 very powerful. Very, very powerful tool for those of you that are using it. I think it should become most everybody's, if they're using a SmartyCam, this should become your default video player. So, okay, perfect. We're getting pretty close to the top of the hour. I am going to jump back into the PowerPoint presentation and kind of start to close this one out. This video, just like all the rest, going to jump into work really quickly as soon as I finish up here and get it all up into YouTube. It's not automated in any way for me, but this will be the 206th video that we have up on YouTube. All of our webinars are up there, and plus a ton of other information. Please share that this site is out there. Just tons of information about how to get the best and most value out of your AiM devices and your AiM software. So check that out. This video will be up there within an hour. Typically, it takes me to write everything up and get it all uploaded and done. So, boy, our guys are working hard out there. I know all over the country. Our customer support is high. It's something we're very, very proud of. Look for the fellas out there. If you see them, give them a bottle of water. It's getting to be that time of year. It's a little bit warm, and they're probably walking around with their backpacks and probably very thirsty. But they're there to help you. If you don't see us at the track, give us a call. 800-718-9090 is our customer support line. Folks on there we start that up on the East Coast, fairly early, and we go to West Coast closing time. So, pretty big window of folks that we have available for you to contact at the tech support line. What's our next webinar? I mentioned a little bit ago is this one was actually this histogram was actually scheduled to be for today, but we had to have a quick change. But we're just pushing it back a week. Histograms are wanted to be used by a lot of people. A lot of people do use them and want to know a little bit of the tips and tricks and different things to do with them. So that is our next one of our series where we are hitting every single function inside of Race Studio 3 analysis and digging into all of the different icons, the settings, and with some worked examples, and then of course the sharing of the user profiles for what we've done. So go back and look at our 6 or 7 that we've done so far on all of the different functions that are across to the function items across the top. Histograms will be next week with Matt Romanowski. Really working on standalone hour-long webinars where we dig deep into a single function. So for the next few years, if somebody wants to learn something about the track function or the histogram function, they can go watch that and learn everything there is to know about how to use that function. So Matt will be here next week to talk about that one on May 10th. Looking forward to that. This one is just I've stuck this one in here on these Race Studio 3 focused webinars series that we've done. These are the ones that I just mentioned that are already available, all the different functions, including some early on where we talked about, okay, how do we kind of personalize this, and then moving from beta to production if you guys were using beta, math channels, and so forth, all the way down. Histogram is again next week. And then we're going to have one on the 17th that will be the opening database page, the one that I screwed up on today. Maybe Emiliano can teach me a few things to make me not do that again. But we're going to talk all about that opening page. There is a lot of power there that is more than just finding the data on one side and doing that. There are many other tips and tricks that we can show you about the opening database function. So that's what's coming on the 17th. So let's jump up one more. Perfect. Here's some contact information for me. If you want to talk more about have some more comments or talk about the process of bringing in movie files and using your SmartyCam information for your basic video player, default video player. If you didn't catch something or I misstated something and you want to talk about it, there's my email address. Give me a holler. Hopefully we gave you some ideas of how to do that. Again, down in the YouTube description down below, you've got the data and video that I used today, so you can follow along and do everything we did if you don't have any of your own data and video right now. The user profiles that I showed up was data video only, and then I had one that was was data and video. I showed those different profiles. Those are available for you to download and import. And then also, if you wanted to, the Watkins Glen, I did some reshaping and naming of the track segments. So if you want that Watkins Glen map, that is available for you to download and import into your system. So you have that plus the default AiM splits. So all of that's available. I appreciate everybody being here. It looks like we've cleared up most of the questions. We had a good time today. I appreciate it. Look forward to everybody joining us again next week when Matt will be here joining us and talking about histograms. Thanks everybody for coming. Thanks to the AiM team behind the scenes answering all the questions. Thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you on the next one next Tuesday. Talk to you guys soon.